It hits you out of nowhere. This exact moment, this room, this conversation, the way the light is falling. You have been here before, exactly like this. Except you have not, for a fact that this is the first time. For a few uncanny seconds, two things that should never both be true are, it is called deja vu, and what is actually happening in your brain is stranger than the feeling itself. First, you are very much not alone. Around 2/3 of people say they have felt deja vu. That sudden, specific sense of, I have lived this before, it tends to strike when you are a little tired or stressed or somewhere new. It is quick, it is slippery, and by the time you turn to examine it, it is usually gone. For something so common, it is remarkably hard to study. You cannot exactly schedule it. You cannot summon it on command. It arrives, it dazzles you for a heartbeat, and it is gone before you can take a proper look. For most of history, the explanations were dramatic. A glimpse of a past life, a premonition, a crack in the simulation. Tempting, but there is a problem. Deja vu almost never comes with any real information. You feel like you knew what was coming, yet you cannot actually predict the next line. The feeling is all familiarity and no content. It is the sensation of remembering wrapped around absolutely nothing. And that, it turns out, is the first big clue. Here is the leading idea. Your brain has two different jobs that usually work as a team. One says, I recognize this, a raw feeling of familiarity. The other says, and here is where I know it from, the actual specific memory. Normally they fire together. You see an old friend. You feel the familiarity, and you recall their name and your history. Deja vu may be what happens when that first system fires on its own. A jolt of pure, I know this, with no memory underneath to explain it. So your brain hands you the certainty of remembering, with absolutely nothing to remember. And that mismatch feels deeply, specifically wrong. And here is the thing. We can actually nudge a milder version of this in the lab. Show someone a long list of related words like bed, pillow, night, dream, but never the word sleep. Later, many people are sure they saw sleep. The familiarity was real. The memory was false. It is not deja vu exactly, but it rhymes with it. A feeling of knowing, manufactured with no true source behind it. A reminder that your sense of having encountered this can switch on without any real event to back it up. We also have a clue about which circuits are involved. For some people with a particular kind of epilepsy, an intense deja vu washes over them in the seconds before a seizure. A seizure that begins in the temporal lobes in the brain's memory and familiarity networks. And when researchers gently stimulate those same regions, they can sometimes trigger a deja vu-like feeling on the spot. So deja vu may not be mystical at all. It looks more like a small, specific hiccup in the machinery that decides what feels familiar. There is one more piece. Sometimes a brand new scene just happens to share its shape with an old one you cannot consciously recall. The same layout of a room, the same arrangement of furniture. In one set of experiments, researchers built scenes in virtual reality that secretly mirrored the layout of earlier ones. And people felt deja vu, a familiarity leaking out of a buried resemblance they could not place. Your brain noticed the echo, it just could not tell you where from. And here's the reframe I love. It is just one interpretation, but it is a beautiful one. For years, deja vu sounded like a pure malfunction, a bug. But some researchers suspect it might be closer to the opposite. It may be the feeling of your brain fact-checking itself, catching a false alarm in the act. One part of you raises its hand. This feels familiar. And something deeper hesitates, finds nothing to back it up, and quietly flags the error. Hold on. This familiarity does not add up. That uneasy little shiver might be the sound of your mind noticing its own mistake. And there is a strange cousin that fits the idea. Jamais vu, the opposite glitch. Stare at a totally ordinary word, like door, long enough, and it can suddenly look alien and wrong, as if you have never seen it before. Same dial, spun the other way. A reminder that familiarity is its own separate setting in your head, and it can slip in both directions. Deja vu is most common in your teens and 20s, and it tends to fade as you get older. On possible reading, a younger brain may be a busier, more sensitive checker, flagging tiny familiarity errors that an older brain has simply learned to wave through. The glitch may fade not because your memory gets better, but because it stops sweating the small stuff. So the next time it hits you, that impossible shimmering sense that you have been here before. Try not to reach for fate or past lives or prophecy. What you are actually feeling is rarer and honestly stranger, a brief glimpse of the machinery. Your mind for half a second showing you its own seams, checking its work right in front of you. A quiet reminder that the smooth, seamless now you live in is being assembled in real time by an organ doing something almost impossibly hard, almost perfectly, almost all of the time. And every so often, just for a heartbeat, it lets you watch. So tell me, when does deja vu hit you hardest? When you are tired, somewhere new, mid-conversation? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if you would like more strange, true questions about your own mind, well, you might just feel like you have heard this one before.